Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ+ daily evening television news, broadcasting live and available on demand. We're on all smart televisions, including Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, YouTube, and Facebook. It's time to queer up the news. It's Tuesday, August 16th. It's 8 p.m. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we're going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight with Al Ferguson.
I'm your anchor tonight at Queer News Tonight, Dr. Tai Houser. This evening, we bring you the news of and perspective representing the LGBTQ+ community from South Florida, America, and across our planet.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ+ evening news show. Whatever happens unique in LGBTQ+ news, you will see and hear it.
Happening Out Television Network is a 501c3 nonprofit media platform in the television and radio model of PBS and NPR, but designed for our LGBTQ+ community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ+ media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network.
Our magazine is celebrating 36 years of the LGBTQ+ experience, and our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ+ and broader community.
We begin tonight by introducing our anchors, so let's welcome anchor Jeff Oliverio. Jeff is founder and treasurer of the Hollywood LGBTQ+ Council, a unique community civic organization in Greater Hollywood. The council will be hosting the second annual My Hollywood Pride on January 22nd, 2023. He's also the chair for the 2022 National LGBTQ Task Force Gala, Red, White, and You, being held October 22nd, 2022 at the Miami Beach Convention Center. The gala, along with its sister event Winter Party Festival, has given back more than $3.3 million to local LGBTQ+ community organizations. Good evening, Jeff.
Good evening. Very happy to be here. Our gala this year is supporting a very important initiative, Queer the Vote, and 1 week from today is primary day here in Florida, so make sure you get your ballot, get out there and vote, and help us elect candidates that support our community. Now, let's welcome anchor Gregg Shapiro, an inductee into the Chicago LGBT Hall of Fame. Gregg is the author of 8 books, including his latest, Fear of Muses, an entertainment journalist whose celebrity interviews and music reviews run in a variety of regional LGBTQ+ and mainstream publications and websites. The movie review, called Screensaver, can be found in South Florida Gay News, San Francisco's Bay Area Reporter, RottenTomatoes.com, and more. Good evening, Gregg.
Good evening, thank you so much, and happy National Telejoke Day. So, what did the moose say after leaving the gay bar?
Oh, what did he say?
Man, I blew like $50 in there.
Oh.
Okay, let's welcome anchor Francia.
Wow.
Francia is an Afro-Venezuelan recording artist, singer-songwriter, dancer, lawyer, and yoga practitioner. His first album, Infinita, is streaming on all music platforms and is a genre-fluid melange of Latin rhythms. Before finding his artistic vocation, Francia practiced corporate law in New York City and was a member of the Council on Foreign Relations. Welcome, Francia.
Buenas noches. Good evening, everyone. Let's welcome anchor Scott Galvin. He is the executive director of Safe Schools South Florida, providing a safe space for LGBTQ+ youth. A member of the North Miami City Council, the longest-serving LGBTQ+ legislator in the state of Florida. He sits on the board of directors of AIDS Healthcare Foundation and volunteers with the Florida LGBTQ+ Democratic Caucus. Good evening, Scott.
Good evening. We are the reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we begin with the queer headlines for Tuesday, August the 16th.
We begin by queering up South Florida and Florida. Report shows since passage of Don't Say Gay, there's been a 400% increase in anti-LGBTQ+ hate speech. A new report from the HRC and the Center for Countering Digital Hate shows a 400% increase in anti-LGBTQ+ comments and posts on social media following the passing of Florida's Don't Say Gay bill. The majority of the posts come in the form of misuses of the term groomer or pedophile to describe anyone who identifies as LGBTQ+. Much of the usage stems from rhetoric coming from a very small group of extremists who are targeting children as a political weapon. Just 10 people drove more than 66% of the groomer tweets, including Governor Ron DeSantis' press secretary, Christina Pushaw, extremist members of Congress like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert, and pro-Trump activists like Libs of TikTok founder Shia Rainchek. Even on Queer News Tonight, nearly all segments that feature stories about students or LGBTQ+ have comments referring to groomers, including targeting special editions of the show where all of our anchors were LGBTQ+ high school students. What do we think about this, groomers?
I mean, yeah, exactly. It's sad, obviously, that they're going to level these types of comments at kids who are minors themselves in some cases. But to me, it's also a teachable moment, because being the focus of somebody's absolute vitriol on the internet is something that we all have to get used to. And the kids that I talk to, you know, it hurts them, it's sad, but at the same time, get used to it, because this whole Don't Say Gay situation is not going away. As you move into adulthood, you're going to be the focus of these attacks on a continuing basis.
Yeah, it just shows you how low they'll go. I mean, they really will dip into the depths of everything to promote fear.
Yeah.
Well, and among the lowest of the low is Pushaw, as I think sounds like a better name for her. She's now moved from Governor Death Sentence's press secretary to working on his campaign. So she'll have a whole new platform to spew her hatred. So that's great.
We've seen it before, right? Right after the election of President Trump, it emboldened folks to come out and have a lot to say. And the timing is similar. The passage of the law just happened, and it emboldens folks who hide behind the camera, who hide behind the laptop, to write these comments for a community that's already so vulnerable.
And the whole issue is that DeSantis wants to hide, behind the record he has on education, which is not that great. The state of Florida certainly has a lot of issues around education. So teaching about our gender identity is certainly not what's bringing down test scores in the state. It's the lack of attracting teachers into the classroom, and this policy doesn't do anything to help that. So.
Well, in addition to attracting, an issue is retention, right? Once you attract them, it's creating this a scenario in which they can thrive in the classroom, where they are equipped, where they can serve these students who are suffering from bullying, cyberbullying, and also extending teachers more grace. They're the most important profession in our society, I would argue.
For sure.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, and then the way it is now is just, again, that we're being bullied with false accusations in order to promote fear, not just among ourselves, as we've talked about many times on here before, how we kind of force ourselves into segments, and that's what they're trying to do, and force ourselves against each other, but also to show the rest of the world that it's okay to hate gay people, which is terrible.
Okay, exactly. Now let's queer up health. FDA approves dramatic increase of monkeypox vaccine as virus are doubling weekly. The current monkeypox outbreak is testing the limits of available vaccine doses. With the weekly update last Wednesday, the CDC was reporting just under 12,000 cases in the United States. Last week's data shows that there was a massive jump in new cases at the start of this month, as there were reported 289 new cases reported on August 3rd and 1,391 new cases reported a week later on August 10th. The FDA has approved intradermal injection, or injection into the skin itself. Normally, the vaccine will be injected via the subcutaneous method, where the drug is injected into the fat between your skin and muscular connective tissue. With the intradermal method, 1/5 of the vaccine can be used. This will hopefully help preserve the vaccine supply. Some areas have reduced vaccine distribution to 1 dose instead of the usual 2, which offers about 85% of protection for 2 years. Experts hope that even the reduced protection will help stop the current outbreak.
I have to say, I actually thought you were a doctor with your pronunciation of those injection
I'm not a
words.
doctor, but I watched every season of ER.
But you have to wonder if this response, if this was affecting like majority straight population, would this be the same response, or is this simply just a reflection of them overlooking the gay community again?
Yeah, and it's like we learned nothing from COVID. I mean, the World Health Organization took weeks to declare this a pandemic, even when it has been across the world. We don't have enough vaccinations in supply. What happens when there's a virus that unleashes itself on the public that is much more deadly than monkeypox, much more deadly than COVID? Will we be as unprepared as we seem to have been now?
What's interesting too with this is that the vaccine comes from one lab in I think it's like Denmark, somewhere in Scandinavia, that's actually undergoing renovation. So they're unable to produce as much as they can. Plus with the supply chain issues that are happening all over the world, it's just not able to get out. And the United States is buying most of them. So we're actually getting, I think, as much as we possibly can get. How to distribute that fairly is really the question.
And then you get into the inequity as well between rich nations and poorer nations.
Absolutely.
I mean, monkeypox has been a standard in parts of Africa for forever, and we can afford as Americans to buy more, inoculations. The rest of the world is left to struggle.
Yeah, and speaking of buying, as the resident yogi in the group, I want to encourage all of us here and our viewers not to buy into the politics of fear, to take a step back and to remind ourselves that we'll be safe, we'll be protected, to breathe, and to anchor in a practice that brings us peace, and to not panic in the moments of the politics of fear really taking hold of our psyches and our phones and our time.
Yeah, well, and to that end, it's important to remember that this is not a deadly disease. This is terrible for the people who have it, but it's not something like coronavirus that's going to kill hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah.
Ebola.
Yeah.
Right. Now we're going to queer up entertainment. AMC and Boulet brothers scare us all with 3 new Dragula projects. Dracula, Frankenstein, and Werewolves, oh my! Sick of the cookie-cutter evening gowns and body queens of RuPaul's Drag Race? Want more looks that are frighteningly detailed and monstrously unique? You're in luck! AMC and the Boulet brothers announced yesterday that they are partnering to bring even more Dragula content to the horror streaming service, Shudder. The new content will include a new season, a new spin-off series, and an additional special set. The Boulet brothers said in a statement, quote, "This is an incredibly exciting time to be a Dragula fan. This new partnership with Shudder and the AMC family provides an incredible opportunity for us to expand our cinematic universe and to flesh out all of the characters, stories, and stars that audiences have fallen in love with over the years. We couldn't be more excited about the content that we're about to unleash, and if fans have felt shocked and engaged with our content in the past, they are truly not ready for what's coming next. It's going to be a wild, fun, and terrifying new ride," end quote.
The show is low budget and it focuses on horrible looking characters. So I'm glad that there's finally a show that TP Lords can get on.
Oh!
Wow.
And we're out of the gate. We're out of the gate.
I don't understand why.
I didn't think there was anything more low budget than what Al Ferguson does on happening on television. But hey, I'm willing to give this a go.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about this. I'm a Drag Race fan, and this is a little bit more, has pyrotechnics and has a lot more special effects. So I'm super excited to see what the AMC partnership does in terms of the, the pyro aspects of it all.
So you get a little extra money from AMC to be a little extra low budget.
Well, I just think expanding the drag universe across other networks and channels is good for the community and good for representation, all across the entertainment space.
I just worry what pyrotechnics and hairspray would do. That combination could be dangerous.
All right, Michael Jackson.
Yes, Michael.
Oh, ouch.
It's great, though. I love Shudder. Believe it or not, I watch so little television, but I actually subscribe to Shudder. It's one of the very, very few. I don't know Hulu. I don't know Netflix. I don't know any of those. Roku, I know you. But it's really cool to see a show that brings horror, which you know from watching other episodes of one of my favorite genres, together with Drag Race. So I'll be rooting for you, TP.
Wow, excellent.
Absolutely. Let's queer up education. Breathless moment for Florida LGBTQ+ students as they start school in bullying shadow of Governor Ron DeSantis. Florida has become a political battleground over social issues, and the casualties in the war are children and their education. Teachers in Sarasota were told that only textbooks are allowed in classrooms and that classic literary works must be removed. Veterans Day is no longer going to be celebrated in schools, and a new law that DeSantis created in May requires schools to observe Victims of Communism Day on November 7th instead, and to teach about the evils of communism. Under the vaguely worded Parental Rights in Education Bill, also known as Don't Say Gay, any references by teachers of sexuality or gender identity could open the door to lawsuits against schools and educators. Florida teachers, already some of the lowest paid in the nation, also risk having their jobs taken away from them as DeSantis requires teaching certifications. In an attempt to turn teaching into politics at the cost of children's education, he's working to place unqualified veterans into teaching positions. Early voting has already started for the Florida primaries, which are happening next Tuesday. Queer News Tonight and Hotspots Happening Out Television encourage everyone to get out and vote to protect the futures of Florida students. What do we think?
There is so much wrong with this. There is so much wrong with this. I mean, McCarthyism much, and also clearly pandering to specific parts of our population. And here's the other problem. People don't understand communism. And I say this not to upset the people who have escaped communism, because dictatorial communism is different. But actual communism, if you're going to teach it, is much different from what it has materialized itself to be in global politics.
And here's one issue I have. Dade County Public Schools starts tomorrow. As of this moment, they've not put out any statement or guidelines to their teachers on how to handle Don't Say Gay and the issues surrounding it. Broward has put out a little bit of information. They had a Zoom with their principals and talked to them about what they should and shouldn't do. But Broward and Dade are supposed to be the most liberal counties in Florida. When Dade County hasn't gotten off its tuchus, what hope is there for the rest of this?
Why do you think they haven't prepared for it?
They're weak, they're scared, they're afraid. The lawsuits that are going to come down, it doesn't matter what anybody does. Tomorrow, there's going to be some Moms of Liberty person in a class throwing down their lawsuit. And, you know, I've been sued so many times I don't even remember. I didn't do it. But when it's intimidating to get served with papers at your front door. Home Depot once sued me for $10 million on a zoning issue because they were trying to spook me into voting the way they wanted me to. It's intimidating.
You know, one of the focuses of the Queer the Vote campaign for the task force is about local school boards, because these are where, you know, our communities are most impacted, and there's no I'm going to forget the candidate's name who's running, I believe, in Miami-Dade County. She was being interviewed on the news on Sunday by Jackie Nesbral, and again, she was recommended, of course, by DeSantis, and she spoke out, you know, for the parental rights bill, and, you know, again, with their talking points of sticking to reading, writing, and arithmetic should only be taught in school. And I think all of us have, you know, gone through school, and we all know that we get to learn a lot more of social issues in school across the board. So that has never been what has been only taught in school, is reading, writing, and arithmetic. Of course, those are the basics, but this talking point needs to be rebuked at all levels, because that's not what we're talking about.
If he really wants to improve education, it's not the reading, writing, arithmetic that's going to do it, because we already score lowest in the country on all those tests. Right? So, like, we need to do a lot more than just that. And it's not that there are not enough teachers. There are plenty of teachers. They don't want to teach. Right. There's no benefit to it. I haven't had a raise in 5 years because essentially they just said no. Wow. You know, you don't get that. So, I mean, I'm not, well, I am complaining, but I mean, I have it better than most people, or than a lot of people do. But at the same time,
what's the incentive to become a teacher?
Yeah, what's the incentive to continue?
And here's one thing not to keep your, you know, to keep your eye on the ball about. Don't Say Gay, when it was enacted, was promised to be only grades K through 3. Grades K through 3. Don't worry, none of the rest will. And it's absolutely being applied to every grade level, across the state.
Yeah.
I'm a proud product of Miami-Dade County Public Schools. Shout out to Miami Beach High School in Miami Beach, the heart of gay culture, I would say, in South Florida.
What year did you graduate?
2006.
Don't let Will Manners say that.
And imagine what it would have been like to have had texts about queer history, to have seen me reflected in what I was studying. It would have saved me a lot of trouble coming out years afterwards. And so coming back to the impact that it has on actual students, it's immeasurable. What it means to see yourself reflected in textbooks, what it means to see representation and empowerment, to see folks who were fighting for LGBT rights would have empowered me to come out sooner, probably. So just bringing it back to a real story from a former Miami-Dade County Public School.
North Miami High, class of 86.
And shout out to all the veterans who are now losing their holiday in public schools. My dad is very active with the VFW and many a veteran organization. So I'm sure this will become another news talking point for our veterans, that we're now not going to honor them in schools to teach this phony escaping from communism day.
But they're allowed to teach for terrible salaries.
Yes,
without qualification.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell your dad he can get another job.
Next, let's queer up gay culture. VH1 says, Sashay, you stay for historic RuPaul's Drag Race, season 15, and you can also untuck. VH1 confirmed on Monday that RuPaul's Drag Race will be returning soon for the 15th season of the show, and that it will be joined by a new season of Untucked. Season 14 was the highest rated season of the show, and it earned 11 nominations at the 2022 Emmy Awards. The release date has not yet been revealed, but the 15th season will make herstory with the 200th episode of the show.
Yes.
Say Sashay 5 times.
I really shouldn't have had all that vodka before I got
It does it every time, doesn't it?
That's why I drink gin.
I picked the wrong week to stop sniffing glue.
So I'm sure that these Drag Race years are probably the highest ratings that VH1, I mean, I remember VH1 was kind of like there, and then who the heck is watching it? I'm sure this is like, they're so grateful to have RuPaul.
There's a revival, and it's the 15th season, and it does not get old to me. The format is so tight, it doesn't get old to me.
Is it wrong of me to say I'm over it?
Are you?
Like, I just...
I'm going to get back into it a little bit.
Hate mail now?
But honestly, I've said it on the show before, and Al got mad at me. How many times were we going to see Todrick Hall, coordinated dance routine? Oh my God. I'm looking forward to the next season. I will be tuning back in because they're starting to, give it a little bit new nuance to it.
Well, RuPaul fans, rejoice.
TP Lord still won't be on it.
Ru would have loved that one.
Poor TP. Next, we are proud of our special partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting that partnership, we are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out television studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral's Sunday International Service at 10:30 a.m. with more than 30,000 watching every week.
My name is Lexi Goza of Lexi Goza State Farm Insurance in Midtown, Miami, Florida. I'm also a board member of the Aqua Foundation for Women and the chair of the Women's Empowerment Council for the Miami-Dade Gay and Lesbian Chamber. And Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church.
We finish tonight's Queer News headlines with a segment we call LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News.
LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News. Let's queer up entertainment. From LGBTQ plus news partner Instinct Magazine and writer Kimberly Ann. Zac Efron to play Johnny Storm in Marvel's Fantastic Four. During the San Diego Comic-Con, president of Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige, confirmed that Fantastic Four will be opening Phase 6 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, also known as MCU, and as a result, the fans' anticipation for it grew even further. In fact, an amazing fan-made trailer for Fantastic Four was uploaded on August 8th, and it has already gained more than 65,000 views as of this writing. In the epic video, the Fantastic Four is starring John Krasinski, Emily Blunt, Zac Efron, and Vin Diesel, and MCU fans seem to be loving the fan casting. Read the whole story at instinctmagazine.com.
LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News. Let's queer up gay culture. From LGBTQ plus news partner Out Magazine and writer Rafi Ermak. Here are the hot, sexy, shirtless pictures of husbands Ricky Martin and Jwan Yosef. If there's one thing that past Out cover star and Grammy-winning hottie Ricky Martin loves in this world, it's definitely his husband, artist Jwan Yosef. And one of the more heartwarming examples of a modern-day love story, the two met on Instagram, and after hitting it off when they finally met in person, after talking for 6 months, the two got married in 2017 and are now fathers to 4 children, 2 of whom Martin became a dad to in 2008 as a single parent. Get more on this story at out.com.
LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News. Let's queer up sports ball. From LGBTQ plus news partner Outsports and writer Brian C. Bell. Pro wrestler Aiden Von Engeland comes out as a trans man at Wrestle Queerdom. Saturday's Wrestle Queerdom event delivered multiple memorable matches and moments featuring trans, non-binary, and gender non-conforming wrestlers. But one very personal and special moment in particular kicked off the show. Pro wrestler Aiden Von Engeland came out as a trans guy. The announcement came during Engeland's entrance for his match against Shay McCoy. Donning a new haircut and sporting a lacrosse stick, Von Engeland entered the ring and asked for the microphone before ring announcer Brandon Hamilton finished introducing him. Read the whole story at outsports.com.
LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News. Let's queer up the USA view. From LGBTQ Partner News, Washington Blade, and writer Lou Shapiro Jr. What's going on in gay DC as another gay couple attacked in suspected hate crime? A gay male couple informed the Washington Blade this week that they were assaulted by a group of young men on June 17th. At least one of them shouted the word faggots while the couple was holding hands walking home on the 1500 block of T Street Northwest, a few doors away from their house. One of the 2 men suffered a broken jaw and fractured thumb when 2 or 3 of the attackers punched and kicked him in the head and face after knocking him to the ground, according to a DC police report that lists the incident as a suspected anti-gay hate crime. Read the whole story at washingtonblade.com.
And with LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News, let's queer up the worldview. From LGBTQ plus news partner Gay Times and writer Nali Samukwala, you get a show, you get a show, you get a show. Everybody gets a show as RuPaul's Drag Race. I'm not a professional. RuPaul's Drag Race, Brazil, Mexico, and Germany is announced. In a series of tweets, it has been announced that Drag Race producers are looking for cast members for new versions of the series in Mexico, Brazil, and Germany. Streaming service World of Wonder shared the announcements, encouraging prospective applicants to get to apply for the role. These new versions of the drag contest would bring the grand total of international Drag Race spin-offs up to 9, making Germany the 7th European country to be included in the franchise, and Mexico the 2nd Spanish-speaking country to be included after Spain. Read more at gaytimes.co.uk.
That is today's news for the LGBTQ plus community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ plus evening news show.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Are you, like most of America, part of our very large television audience, watching this live LGBTQ+ news broadcast right now on Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, and Amazon Fire TV?
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ+ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ+ stories in motion and sound. This is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor tonight for Queer News, Dr. Tai Houser, and on behalf of these LGBTQ+ reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Jeff Oliverio, Gregg Shapiro, Francia, and Scott Galvin. We will see you daily at 8 p.m. To our LGBTQ+ world, we wish you
LGBTQ+ news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ